You need to have command presence. In other words, if you look like you know what you're doing and you act like you're willing to do it, okay, most people won't fuck with you. If you stand around lovingly, okay, and just like, oh, well, go away and leave me alone, okay, you're hurting my feelings, oh, please, I'm a snowflake, I'll fucking melt, okay, really, okay, then someone's probably gonna melt your snow, kick your ass, steal all your shit, stab you in the fucking heart, cut your head off and shit in the hole. Then you'll be another piece of meat and fertilizer for the garden, okay? If you get a set of nuts, regardless of your gender, and stand up, you're gonna die anyway someday, all of you. Ain't a son of a bitch here gonna get off the planet alive, okay? I'm not gonna die on my knees, fuck that, okay? And I'm not gonna die like all those guys in the orange suits sitting on a beach, shot in the back of the head. Fuck that, jump up, kick somebody in the balls, headbutt the motherfucker, break his nose, okay? Do something, okay? But like, really? No. Well, there's society. That's why it's a fucked up society, based on a bunch of pedophilers and goat fuckers, okay? And everybody's kneeling there, got shot in the head, happy meal for me, okay? It's just another one we'll have to deal with later, okay? People go, that's really tacky. Really? What do you think's gonna happen here, okay? Not being ugly, okay? So visually and verbally, get a set of balls. If you got a gun, okay? If you got a small gun, what's the point, all right? So like, I don't get it. People carry a gun. This is my backup gun. Really? A backup gun. Okay, so here's the thought. If you take this big fucking gun out and it takes a shit, okay, and you need a second gun, why would you draw a second gun that's smaller than the first gun? That's like having kin in the fight and shit goes south and you get fucking Barbie out. When you get the second gun should be as big, if not bigger than the first fucking gun that you had. The second gun should come out with a set of wheels. Okay. What the fuck is up with this? Oh, this is my bug gun. Bug? Now, if you had a Tyrannosaurus Rex that jumped out of your holster, and that bitch ran down range and bit the fucking guy's head off and drug the meat back and threw him on the fucking ground, the guy goes, well, you know, if I carry a second gun and it's big, it's uncomfortable. When the fuck did comfort come into carrying a gun and saving your life? Where did that, who thought that up? Whoever thought that up should be stabbed in the fucking heart, okay? With a big knife. Why do you need to be comfortable? When you're trying to save your life, right? Wasn't that the point of carrying the gun? Hello? Carrying the gun, right? Save my life. Oh, this is not comfortable. You know, I live in Texas and it's very warm, right? I was just in California. What a shithole. It's 110, okay? You know those hand job things that they wear, with those put over their heads, or hot jobs or whatever? I mean, I had one on my head covered in ice the whole time I was there. I still had two guns, and both of them were big, okay? And I wasn't comfortable at all, but I still had two guns and a rifle. It's California. Not comfort, people. Where did that come from? Okay, please?
Welcome to the Doom Kitchen. This is not a news show. It's a talk show. We do not give financial, legal, medical, or any kind of advice. We are not responsible for the actions of our listeners. You are responsible for you. If anything offends you, we were only joking. Promise.
The great and hilarious gun tuber Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch with the intro there, giving you a little taste of the realities that we may have to face if SHTF, right? SHTF. Today I'm here with a friend of mine. This is Trever Greene. And why don't you introduce yourself, Trever?
Trever Greene. I say I'm kind of just your average guy who has a little bit of experience in a lot of different things. And I happen to have certain things that I took interest in and feel comfortable talking about. That experience spans a couple years in the military, some time doing some law enforcement on the federal side, not the local side. Those are two very different things, and I won't speak to the local stuff because it has its own flavor. And then other than that, I did some, contracting work that was a lot of fun and made me some decent money.
Cool. So what branch were you in?
So I was Army.
Okay.
I wasn't a trigger puller. I was just a boring old intel guy. But the type of intel that I did, you had to get a bit more up close and personal. So we trained with the locals being in civilian clothes, actually going out and having to be on patrol. So somewhat different than sitting in a room listening to a radio.
So here we are, about 10 days ago, if not longer ago, really, because this wasn't the first time that he's done the things that he's done. It seems like Brandon has done his declaration of war against anything and everything conservative, except for, I guess, the Lindsey Graham Republicans out there, except for maybe he's after Lindsey too. Maybe Crenshaw might not be on his list, somebody like that. But he seems to be going hard against about half of the United States, or at least politically half. The rest of us are all in the middle or anti-political or anything like that. But I know a lot of the things that we're interested in, the things that we say or do, could get us lumped in with the extreme MAGA Republicans.
Absolutely. I mean, anybody who falls on, I guess, slightly more Ryan Dawson side of things, they're going to be in trouble, because there's a few certain places that you can't talk about and certain groups of people that you're going to get.
Right. I try to squirm myself out of any kind of conversation about those people, because I know that they have groups that are just out to ruin people's lives if you say too many true things about them, and Ryan is an example of one of those people.
Absolutely. What's weird is, I was going to say, there's a lot of people on the other side that follow lockstep with Brandon and have their own very, very negative views as well on that group.
Right. Well, so he's dividing us, obviously, and just with rhetoric and everything like that. But I'm seeing a lot of things from like Mayorkas, where he's talking about white supremacy being a threat and all of these other things. And then you see guys like Tim Pool and even Paul Fahrenheit. We were just listening to him on Pete Quinones's show talk about a possible approaching civil war, and that's obviously terrifying. But we're in a weird timeline.
Oh yeah, we definitely are. I think that there's part of it is just the fact that in general, people have a fascination with war. Like if you look at almost every history book, what is the concentration? It is this war, small piece between this war, small piece between this war. So
right,
we can't, as a human race, we're fascinated with it and terrified of it. So it takes up a lot of the space in our brain.
Right. And just getting ready to, I'm not ready, dude. I'm like Clint talked about in there, that somebody's going to melt your snowflake. And, I just want to drive trucks and hang out and be friends with everybody. And we've gotten so far divided with all of this stuff that it's like, okay, well, I guess I got to start getting ready. What would you say are some first steps in preparing for defense, obviously?
Well, so I obviously you told me about this interview coming up. So I kind of sat down and I thought about like, what's something simple that I can kind of give. The one thing that kept coming back to me is there's three things that a lot of people tend to worry about, but they worry about them in the wrong, I guess, priority. They do it a little bit upside down. I would say if you can draw an upside down triangle and think of the two top corners being skills and social network, and then the bottom corner being stuff. You don't want the stuff to take precedence. You want to learn skills that will keep you alive keep you comfortable, help other people, and you want to have a social network that complements those and or allows you to learn more and be more productive with the skills that you all collectively have. Because you can have all the coolest stuff, best rifles, but if you're just one person, you're going to get capped.
Right. Yeah, I was just thinking about that. That you could put a rusty old high point in the hands of somebody who is extremely skilled, and you could have the best rifle there is, and you're going to get popped.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just sorry. That's just the way it is out there, and you're going to generate stuff for someone else. So how do we get ready to not be a loot haul for somebody who is been in the game preparing and wants to destroy the citizens?
I would say the first step, obviously, is just being honest with yourself, sitting down and saying, okay, where am I at in life and what can I do? I had to do this a couple months ago. I sat down, I was like, where am I at? I wasn't in a great headspace, wasn't physically quite where I wanted to be. And so I've been working on both of those things. Some people might say, hey, I'm not financially where I want to be. I don't have a car. I can't get any extra food. But you also have to be kind of a bit of a pessimist and think, where are the things that I'm going to fail at? What am I going to be terrible at? And start working on those. I know personally, one of those things was if I had to navigate outside of being able to use Google Maps, I was in trouble. So I went out, bought a book, bought a compass, and I'm kind of trying to learn that, trying to do a little bit of, hey, where is the North Star? And can I figure out how to get somewhere using, what I have? Learning how to do some medical stuff. I have an interest in that. I'm not a nurse. I'm not a doctor. I couldn't do any of the complicated stuff, but I understand it. So I kind of follow along with that. And that's the key, is just kind of being honest with yourself and going from there. You got to build up those weak spots, and those spots that you know that you're not going to be able to build up, you got to go to other people and you got to start those connections. I know Tunes, he's a bit more of a gardening person in our group chats, and he's sent me some seeds. He's given me some advice, shown me some videos, and that's helped a lot because I am a brown thumb like nobody's business. I'll kill anything, even a cactus.
Yeah, there's so many things because you kind of have to think, is there going to be any kind of infrastructure remaining at all? So many people are relying in their heads on electricity because it's been around your entire life. But we really, the way I envision it, because I'm pretty black-pilled, I envision it as being kind of like the Amish being hunted by drones.
Potentially. And that's the hard part, is anytime that you're sitting down trying to prepare for any situation, you don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if it's going to be the Amish being hunted by drones. We don't know if it's going to turn into Mad Max bands of roving rapists and, crazy people selling truckloads of milk because that's the most important commodity. You just never know. So a lot of it's sitting down and saying, hey, if I'm going to be in this situation, what can I do? If I'm going to be in this situation, what can I do? And then doing that a few times and figuring out common threads that are useful for all of them, and starting with that. Start with that baseline, then move to the slightly less realistic scenarios all the way out until, you're at the zombie apocalypse crap that's never going to actually happen.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of things too that they could make us think are happening when they really aren't. I don't know if you've heard about blue beam technology. I've heard thoughts of them using holographic projections to make us think that there's an alien invasion. That, in a way, to me, is almost a best case scenario, because we would find a lot more unity versus every man for himself. And I really worry about that with some people that are just, like, they see everybody as a loot drop and are just going to go pop off. And I think if things ever do get complicated, that it won't last a long time. The hard part, the really rough spot, whenever people are a little bit more indiscriminate and not trusting each other, but that won't last a very long time. But this thing, the repercussions from everything that starts seems to be going for years. We're still receiving fallout from 9/11.
That's true. I'm kind of torn on the idea of what they're going to do and how it's really going to, like, what the scenario that's most likely would be. The blue beam stuff, I think that enough people are starting to see through it, and there's so much cynicism that might be hard to actually pull off nowadays. I think that we kind of hit how would you put it, a turning point maybe a few years ago prior to the COVID stuff. If they had done it, it could have been super effective. Now you're really only going to be getting the most gullible, most easily, pushed sheeple to do anything.
And a lot of people stacked up because of COVID. I being one of them, I didn't know how to do anything then, and then I'm like, okay, this things could get crazy, so it starts stacking up. I'm trying to deal intangibles, things that are useful, tools mainly, and then some gold and silver. But I really think that food is going to be a key thing, because we're already seeing an attack on the food infrastructure and the supply line infrastructure. And then there's also this other thing that they have going on that I think is going to tie into everything, and that's Operation Cyber Polygon. I know that the trucking company I work for has already been hit with a hack attack where they did a ransomware thing, and I hear about distributors getting hit by them, and like a huge meat supplier got hit by one a little over a year ago, and that backed up trucks for a really long time. So I know that they have ways of doing all these things, and it might be everything simultaneously, or it might just be one or two of the things and then leave the rest on the back burner. But it's really hard to predict why, how, and what they're doing with all of this turmoil, because it seems like I really expect it to be some sort of false flag attack. I think that it's going to be, well, here's, we declared you as the enemy attack, and then there's this false flag, and now we're coming after you guys. You guys have to go to these camps, or however they do it.
Well, so if you kind of take that and think about it in some of the stuff that they've already done, kind of the Texas power outage, what would make sense to me is, okay, you do a couple cyber attacks here or there that really cripple a region, and maybe it's just part of Texas that they are particularly worried about, and they can take care of that one thing, get far more control, do, it's a police state for this, that, or the other reason, and you do that rolling until you get all of the places that you need controlled under control. That is what I would say is most likely their scenario, because they don't have, thank goodness, more or less, they don't have all of the people that they need to do all of this. They can't say, hey, 82nd, 1st, and 18th Airborne Division, let's roll and just plow through Middle America. They can't have the FBI plow through Middle America. We only have a few select people in each one of these organizations And then we have some mindless drones who are willing to follow those orders. So you've got to concentrate all of them into one area.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been thinking about, is that you know, all of these people have families, and if that's going on, a lot of the people that are in the military obviously come from conservative families. So I can't see all of them just going and doing this, but you see all these ads for woke CIA, woke military stuff, where it's like, my, you know, transgender lesbian pregnant mom did, you know, all these great things, and she really inspired me, and now I'm graduating and I'm going to be a Fed. All those commercials that we laughed about a few months ago. So that there is going to be some people that are loyal to this ridiculous idea of global democracy, which is not global democracy in any way whatsoever. This is a global dictatorship coming from the United Nations and the World Economic Forum and several entities that control almost everything.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I was talking to one of my friends. He is still in the military doing some other stuff, but we were discussing a paper that came out discussing the demographics of kind of how the military breaks down. And it's interesting if you look at it, because those conservative, pro-American idealists tend to be 1 to 2 enlistments or 1 officer contract and done. They will move up and move out, and they're usually going to be in a higher risk category. So you're going to have special forces guys, you're going to have combat arms, that kind of stuff. Not to say that this is everyone, obviously, it's just a generalization. But in all of the support roles, which make up most of the military, you have a lot of minorities coming from inner cities who stay on for long periods of time because it's a solid career that they don't have to do much. I personally have seen it used more or less as a welfare system, because you're going to get housing, you're going to get food, you're going to get everything that you need all taken care of. And if you have a baby mama, guess what? She gets taken care of too. And it's all on the taxpayer's dime. But it goes to show that those people that we think are going to be on our side aren't necessarily still going to be in the military or in the power to be able to do that. Not to say they haven't moved on somewhere else. I know a lot of my friends who are currently federal side came from the military, those backgrounds, and they still have that very conservative lean to them. They're just blind to some of the certain things that are going on.
So yeah, but those people will be in control. Well, maybe not. I'm thinking, would they be in control of the howitzers and the drones and stuff like that? But it sounds like if something were to go down, that there would be a split.
So yes, I would say that there's going to be a split. And this is just a opinion, personal view, no research behind this. I think that a lot of the, I guess, heavy traditional style fighting stuff is going to be with the powers that be currently, and more of the guerrilla style warfare, small unit stuff is going to be more on our side. I won't necessarily say they're going to be on our side, because they're going to have their own factions that want to do certain things. They might want to just try and take back the military. They may see it as an opportunity to, I don't know, achieve their own goals. And a lot of those people, they're a little bit too smart for their own good. I've seen it, and they can be kind of dicks.
Yeah, I also am concerned about the people that will just do whatever they're told to do regardless. And even if they are somebody that might be ideologically American, that they would just be, okay, I'm doing what the boss said, Romans 13 kind of people.
Yeah. I don't know that ideological Americans truly exist within the military anymore. We've turned it into a corporate environment. Um, and a lot of the people there don't see it as a service or a sacrifice. It is a job, and they are climbing a career ladder, and they will use the same tactics that are used in corporate America: me tooing people, backstabbing, dishonesty, same kind of crap. So that ideological bend is most likely going to be found in veterans of past conflicts.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely a thought. I mean, I was in the laundry room with a couple of Vietnam vets at the at one of my truck terminals, and those guys were going on over everything that they did back in the 70s, and I know that we have a lot of people like that. In fact, that's a cool thing about the anarcho-libertarian, whatever the hell we are at this point, just because we've gone through so many loop-de-loops and come to the conclusion that really that libertarianism is not the solution right now. But there's a lot of guys, like the bite the bullet guys and stuff like that came back completely anti-war.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, it blows my mind that more people don't come back anti-war, especially with the most recent conflicts in Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed being over there. I enjoyed what I did. It was a lot of fun. But I also, there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, wow, I did some kind of stupid, messed up stuff. And everything that I did was super tame compared to most deployments. But I still think, like, yeah, the things that I did probably got people hurt and probably made a lot of enemies. Like, if I ever go back to Iraq outside of a military capacity, I probably won't want to go outside of my hotel room.
Well, Iraq is one of the places that seems to be spared, according to the Deagle report, whether you believe it's true or not. But let's get with the personal LARP. As far as somebody that's not military trained, just retarded trucker like me. What do you think? So you've got your triangle stuff, social network, and skills. So what do you think you should accumulate as far as stuff? Obviously, food and water purification.
So yeah, I would say a decent knife is like your bread and butter for anyone and everything, because that's going to be how you build shelter, potentially how you defend yourself. It can be used for cooking, all sorts of crap. A good knife is worth its weight in gold, and probably a few. The adage of one is none, two is one, it sticks around for a reason. Like a decent
Three is fun.
Yeah, exactly. have stuff that you can abuse. Have the knife that is, like your little pocket knife for little utility things, whatever you want in between, and then learn how to use them. I would say med kit is a must-have. You can buy them on Amazon. I'm not going to say that they're bad quality, but you never really know exactly what all the parts are going to be. Some of the stuff may come from one factory that is looking very quality, but is just a knockoff of something else. And then obviously I would say have clothing that is going to keep you warm, keep you dry. I think it's Garand Thumb has a very good video on that. And he brings up a really good point. Nobody wants to die just because they got wet and then, it was cold one night. Like, have a spare set of clothes.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of this stuff is similar to backpacking in some ways, but then you've got the med kit, which I guess people would carry I never carried anything while backpacking or bike touring as far as med kit goes. I'm one of those people that would be caught with pants down, but I know that I always hear guys talk about having extra tourniquets and things like that. And then there's medicine that you can obtain pretty easily right now. Yeah.
Obviously, if you can get yourself some antibacterial stuff, antivirals, potentially antibiotics, there's places where you can get them. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you what to get or what not to get. But a lot of the same exact things that I was given for certain issues that came up while I was overseas, you can buy on websites that sell fish antibiotics. And it's the same exact pill. I would say in terms of the like tourniquet stuff, like your combat kind of action, you're doing it right there, right then. There are people who say you should have a tourniquet in your left pocket, your right pocket, on your left arm and your right arm, and then you're good to go. That's when you have enough tourniquets for you. That's a bit extreme. If you are tourniqueting each one of your appendages, there's already probably a huge problem and you might not want to be dealing with that. But you should at least have, I would say, 2 tourniquets for yourself and then a bunch of stuff that like the chest seals, compression bandages, that kind of crap on your kit somewhere that's readily accessible, that's conspicuous. Put a big red cross on it, put med kit, whatever, somewhere that people can find. So that way, if somebody finds you down, they can fix you right there rather than having to go find their crap or bring you to the aid station. They just administer self-care or, buddy care right there. It's also nice if you're around and, conscious, you can administer self-care, move on, and potentially get to that aid station without having to be found.
Right. Instead of getting drugged somewhere, which you could bleed out, all the other fun stuff. That's going on my list. That's going to the top of my list as far as things I'm going to order as soon as we finish this conversation is a good med kit. And
I'll make a plug, and I don't have any association with them. I don't make any money off of it. It's gear that I use and I like it, and they offer very, very good training. Probably some of the better training you can get. Dark Angel Medical. Their kits are very expensive. I won't say very expensive. They're more expensive, but they're well designed. They have everything you need. You can kind of mix and match products according to your comfort level, and you can get training through them. They offer training all over the country, and it's well worth going to, because when you're getting squirted in the face while you're wearing blindfold and trying to figure out how to put something on somebody else who's screaming and wiggling around, that really changes it up than if you're just sitting there reading some instructions like, oh, this is how you put a tourniquet on a dummy. So.
Okay. Yeah. It sounds like those things are, even if the S never H's the F, then, you still have a kit. And you can keep it in your vehicle. You can keep it anywhere you want, anywhere you might want to be. And if you have the basic skills to handle a situation, you could make a friend for life and save someone's life.
Yeah. Well, so that's one of the other things. They push their product in I guess a very responsible way. If you use their med kit in a real life scenario, any part of it, they will replace your med kit and completely. So I think that's kind of cool. They want you to be able to carry it with you, use it, and not worry about having to replace it because, oh, it's expensive. This person's life isn't anything to me. I'll move on. So just
cool.
One of those cool brands that's out there that actually stands behind the product and does the right thing.
That's awesome, and you at least have that assurance for the time that we have internet and electricity, and who knows if we might never lose any of this stuff. But I'm thinking whenever things start to happen, to not let yourself get corralled into the cities, because the cities will offer you some protection. They'll offer you bug slop. They might even dress it up. They might make it sound better than cockroach milk and cricket meal. But they're gonna offer some security and things like that. But in that kind of situation, I know what happens. People end up becoming prisoners or enslaved to the system, and that's really frightening. The Gulag Archipelago really illustrates that.
There's a wonderful book out there called 1 Second After. Quick read, highly suggest it for anybody who's even considering beginning the preparation for any kind of emergency scenario. And it can be anything from an earthquake to the power going out for an extended period of time. This book kind of covers what's going to be happening in that first second all the way to, I think it's like the year mark. And the guy doesn't pull any punches. And he misses some stuff that you can find online. Like if you look up some of the FEMA directorates, some of the stuff that DHS puts out, like if you're in a city and the water goes down and the power goes out, there's an issue of the water can evaporate out of the toilet and you can have sewage gases leak into your house and cause an explosion. So they say, yeah, get like 2 or 3 tennis balls and a sock, Vaseline that sucker up and shove it up your toilet. So that way that stuff doesn't leak into your home and cause problems. And it's like weird tips like that people don't think about. And that will be the city, because most people are in the city and most people don't care. Whereas in the rural area, even if it does happen at every home, it's so far spread out that it won't affect you that much. Whereas, if that happened in an apartment complex, the whole apartment complex is gone and, hundreds of people are now homeless and trying to find food and shelter.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. The things that you don't think about are usually the things that come up to bite you too.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you have anything else for us?
I was going to say, just make sure that you're fit. Make sure that you have decent footwear. I know you've done the whole backpacking thing and you've been on bikes and all that kind of crap. That's good.
Do you recommend hiking boots or combat boots, or either one is fine?
Honestly, it depends on you. I know that what I would be wearing is I have a pair of boots that I like, but I don't know that they would be my primary. I'd actually probably go with a pair of like just regular old tennis shoes. It's a running shoe company that I like. They fit my feet really well and they're comfortable. And you should be fit enough to where you can do everything you need to do in that, because you're not always going to have a pair of boots that can be perfect on your ankles. So that's the way I see it. But yeah, your legs are going to kind of be your motor. Once the gas dries up, once electricity goes out, you're going to have to walk everywhere or ride a bike everywhere. So making sure that those are capable of moving you around is, I don't know, that's a big one.
Right. Yeah. That's a good point. Is fuel might be an issue, and so having a bike could save your butt as well.
Oh yeah, it could also make you money.
Yeah. I'm kind of counting on that in some ways. But let's see. One of the things that I thought of whenever I was a bike tourist was that have everything have more than one purpose. So if it does 2 things, then it's pretty good. Other than purpose-built things like toothbrush, although you could improvise toothbrush on many other things, but you really don't want to use it for your teeth after that.
Yeah, you could use a toothbrush to clean the rifle, but And then on your teeth and gums, it might not be the best.
Yeah,
no, I'm definitely with you there. Having the stuff that fills many purposes. In my backpacking kind of camping kit, I have like just a mug, or it's like a canteen cup, but I can boil stuff in it. I can drink out of it. I can eat out of it. It's just an all-purpose everything, because it's wide enough to actually hold a bunch of crap and big enough to where I can actually cook or just eat out of it, rather than it, I have to have a separate cooking vessel, a separate eating vessel.
Right. Yeah, and then also make sure to not always have electricity in mind as far as your planning goes. Again, because there's certain things, like an electric kettle or something like that, that's really awesome in a lot of situations, but you want to have a gas burner so that you can cook with gas. You want to be able to make a fire from scratch. You probably want to have tons and tons of Bic lighters, even if you can make a fire from scratch.
I was going to say, yeah, if you go into any kind of survival or preparedness, anything, and a Bic lighter is not one of the first things that you're thinking of, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, but sewing kits, even if you don't know how to sew, they can come in handy for many, many things.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have unfortunately had to sew my own hand shut. So learning how to sew and learning how to do some basic sutures, it's easy. You can do it online. I don't suggest practicing on yourself, but it's nice to know how to do it when you need to.
Cool. Did you want to plug anything?
No, not really. I don't have anything to plug. You're the first podcast I've ever been on, so I'm just going to kind of keep it at that. Thanks.
Well, this is my second show where I interview people, so I'm really glad to have you on, and I welcome you back in the future whenever we can talk some more about survival and kitting out and all the other fun stuff. To close, I have this great song from Dr. Greene, his new album, Resident 3030. It's called Writing on the Wall, and I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.
Cloaked up like a nine-stalker in the gas mask. Y'all choked up dead walkers if I rap fast. Talking about 2030, everything is cheap, laughed at. They say you own nothing, but they have that. Only safe to gather supplies, but sun's down. Easier to hide stealth move when they run towns. Lockdown viruses, fear the sun found. Infected wonder, the screaming lung sounds. New one order, get the plans, no one listen. Sustainable development with dire visions. Ash from human burning bodies, watch the sky thickens. Comes cut, set us on survival missions. I was prepping while you're fighting over politics. I was stacking water filters, rice and beans on the mix. Couldn't prepare for the dawn when I saw the fix. Slow burn collapse until our walls are hit. To the writings on the wall, you couldn't see it with the black light. And get together with your family for the last time. I'm in this world with no heart, cause it has mine. I put my cloak on and finish for the last time. Writings on the wall, you couldn't see it with the black light. And get together with your family for the last time. I'm in this world with no heart, cause it has mine. I put my cloak on and finish for the last time. Cards and passports just to purchase food. It should have been a sign for you nervous fools. Should have hung them on the porch like some service goons. Now you bunch of dead or worthless dudes. Our situation never improves in dark winter. Crops barely grow with the sun show starts blisters. 762 X-class flares, hard hitters. In this wildfires and asteroid sparks tender. Some spoke of ice age and solar cycles pull shifts. Avoid the ravages of monsters and culprits. Shortages were ignored with no signs of bulbs lit. Design crisis, sculpted the soulless. Cataclysmic cycles return the planet of key. The clean water, sacred trees are needed to breathe. In search of lost creeks, lost heart, blue beam. 2030 nightmare vision, all dreams. The writing's on the wall, you couldn't see it with the black light. And get together with your family for the last time. I'm in this world with no heart, cause it has mine. I put my cloak on and finish for the last time. The writing's on the wall, you couldn't see it with the black light. And get together with your family for the last time. I'm in this world with no heart, cause it has mine. I put my cloak on and finish for the last time. Solve the self, I'm relying on no one else. Counting bullets and lost souls on store shelves. If they don't have pure blood, simply pour them out. Conversations with myself, I can afford them now. Try not to speak aloud, avoid the undead attention. Just gather supplies and get back to business. Survival profile, but gifted the things I do with vicious. I will not stop till your life, I know I beg forgiveness. I'm the reason you're awake, but the live is too late to make no mistakes. I'm used to people calling names. I'm insane, a non-stalker in the pouring rain. Watching y'all walking on the death trains. Life will never be the same. Every year is getting colder, desperation getting bolder. Forgot my age, I'm getting older. 2030 resident, the enemies over shoulders. Like motor, I believe I'm a soldier. So the writing's on the wall, you couldn't see it with the black light. And get together with your family for the last time. I'm in this world with no heart, cause it has mine. I put my cloak on and finish for the last time. The writing's on the wall, you couldn't see it with the black light. And get together with your family for the last time. I'm in this world with no heart, cause it has mine. I put my cloak on and finish for the last time.
A man who understood nothing, so there was nothing left to understand. Now to me has passed the responsibility for this last tiny